How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Cities Skylines, and welcome back to Vanillaville. I was sitting down to record this video, and I got thinking about how I introduced these videos, and there's something to be said about drawing out the words Cities Skylines. It just works really well, and it got me thinking about how good the name of this game, or franchise, it's a franchise now, it has a sequel coming out, how good the name is. There's just something about Cities Skylines. I'm never a big fan of like when a word ends in S and the next one begins with S, because with my accent it kind of blends together, but this one's good. And that's completely unrelated to this video. I'm just in one of those moods today, so we'll see where this video goes. Now, I have a little bit of an idea for what I'd like to get done today. I mentioned in the last episode that I was probably going to swap out this high school for some kind of city hall, and we do have enough money to do that. We have almost $1 million, which is kind of amazing, and we do have some choices for what we could do. We could go for the stock exchange. If we didn't want to level it up, it would look pretty good, but I think we'll probably do a stock exchange over here at some point. We could do some things with the treasure hunt for Cities Skylines 2 if we wanted to, but honestly, it is either going to be City Hall right there, or we could use Amsterdam Palace, which is going to fit nice and central. Does City Hall fit nice and central? Yes, it does. Okay, so we can use either of those. We could maybe use both of those. It doesn't really matter. I'm also pretty sure, isn't there, yeah, there it is right there, the government building. It also fits nice and central, so it'll be one of those that we play around with. But we do still need high school education in the city, so I was thinking of coming down here and using this space to build out some kind of high school campus type thing. Maybe we put a couple of high schools in here just to boost the numbers. Maybe we play around with some stadiums, some fields, some stuff like that. And so that was my thinking for that space. That's kind of what I want to do today. But before we get to that, there is one thing I want to do. It is based on some feedback in the comments on the last episode, and it's to do with this park right here. Now, there were a couple of people that mentioned that it's very symmetrical, it's kind of boring, it's not very inspired, and I agree. There were also a couple of people that mentioned that the road down the middle is just a little bit much. It's not a great look. Some people suggested maybe swapping it out for a bus road, but honestly, buses don't really use it. If we go and look at my buses, they are using this avenue rather than this road here. Now, we could change that around, and admittedly, we probably should expand my bus lines a little bit. But I think what I'd rather do, since this road isn't all that popular and there's no connections to the park on this road anyway, I'm just going to get rid of it. We're going to take that road out of there. It's going to get rid of this this junction in the middle. Oh, it's leveled up as well. Lovely. Actually, it's not going to get rid of that junction because we have two different types of road, but that's not the worst thing in the world. Letting people cross over here is probably a good thing. Although I might change this out just so that we have the extra large sidewalks on that side. But regardless, we'll take a look at that in just a second. I do immediately think the park looks so much better when it doesn't have that road down the middle. Obviously, we need to connect the fences together, and I'm not going to spend forever doing that. That's a pretty quick job just here. So we'll take these guys out. I am going to have to get rid of some trees that are popping up around there, which I don't love, but we can take the fences out. We can connect the paths together. We can probably get some bigger things in here as well, which is only going to serve to bring more people into the park, which is a very good thing. So let's very quickly get that done. We spent plenty of time building this thing in the last episode. Let's not go too crazy with it this time. And so instantly that just opens it up a little bit. I do really like how this has turned out. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. I'm going to get this climbing frame, and I want to see if it fits nicely between these paths. It absolutely does. So we'll do a climbing frame right about there in the middle. And I want to get the park chessboard in on the other side, but it doesn't necessarily fit. In fact, it doesn't fit anywhere. So this might be where symmetry starts to go out the window a little bit, because I'm going to take out these two sections of path. I'm going to take out all of these trees because I don't really want them around here. And I want to get that that chessboard in here, and that right about there looks relatively central. So I'm going to go ahead and allow that. And then what we can do is go back into the park section. I can go and grab myself some sections of path, and I'm just going to connect these guys out. Something like that. I'll connect them across. And honestly, I'm going to swap out these middle paths for ones that don't have trees on them, because I think there's just a little bit too much going on there. I think it's going to look better if we do a bit of a landscaping pass on this and try and get some trees in here so that it looks a little bit more natural just a bit more life to it, because it is a little bit lifeless right now, especially with the symmetry that's going on. And there we go. I think this just looks a little bit better. We got some color in there. We got some life in there. It's nothing crazy. It's not super detailed, but it's just a little bit better than I think it was when we started here today. So the park is done. It's out of the way. Middle garden is gonna do for now. It might get expanded upon later on. It might get more detailed later on, but right now it's probably good enough. So I want to come down here and figure out what I'm going to do with the high school before we get rid of the old one, because there's no point getting rid of it. Keeping the game running will not have high school education. It's just going to do us some harm. So I want to figure out what this space is going to look like. So if we go into education, we do have some choices. We do have the high school. I think this is the European style one. This is the one that was in the original sort of base game. And then we have the high capacity high school as well. I don't think I'm necessarily going to play around with the high capacity high school, but we do have the Institute of Creative Arts, which is an alternative to a high school. It's a pretty modern looking building, but it's kind of interesting as well. We also have a public library, so I want to try and turn this into basically just a good space for education. We also have this one as well, which is a bit weird looking. We have this guy, which is a national library. It's pretty cool looking. And this is a community school, which I think will pass on. Well, it might go somewhere as well. That kind of looks like the cabins that you have. Actually, I want to see what this looks like. What is that? That is, it's a bit weird looking. I've got no idea what that is. I really don't. We'll go ahead and get rid of it. We'll figure out what this space is going to be. So I don't necessarily want the entire space to be dedicated to a high school, but I do want to put it at a bit of an angle. So what we'll do is we'll go and get some dirt roads. We'll use those as like my planning roads to figure out what I'm doing. And don't worry, I'm not about to get super duper creative with this entire series. That is by no means. That is not the plan here. I just want this to be, I want this to be good and functional. I want this to be a really nice functional space. I would like to not have to worry too much about high school education in the future. So we're going to try and get ourselves a good looking space that's going to deal with, you know, high school education for a pretty long time. So what we'll do is bring this road out, line it up there, line that road up right there. That gives us a nice space to work with. This guy's going to go back about, I'm going to say 15 units, and it's going to come across. And what I want to do is essentially use that space right there for my high school. We'll have this connection to it, which is not going to be amazing. We'll have a connection right here as well, which is not going to be amazing. Those are pretty close to, you know, it's a very, very small road. So if I don't get rid of the traffic lights and if I do have stop signs, that is going to give us some trouble. We'll figure that out though. Oh, that almost connects perfectly. That's a bit of a shame. That really is a bit of a shame. I kind of want to extend these roads ever so slightly to see if I can get these guys to actually connect together perfectly. I don't know if it's going to line up necessarily. It does. That is perfect. Okay. That's actually a really good thing. Let's go another 5 units here. We'll bring this over, and there we go. So we have a connection to the neighborhood. We have a connection to the avenue. We have a connection down to the cathedral. 3 little connections for what is essentially going to be a pretty closed off district, but that's all right. It is on a bit of a slope. I don't love that, but I can make it work. And so I think what we'll do is we'll start looking at our options for high schools. Now, I do like this one simply because of how big it is, but I want something that looks a bit more like a main building, which is where I'm thinking this this high school right here kind of plays nicely. And then again, the high capacity high school is, I mean, it's pretty good looking for that kind of thing as well. I think, honestly, maybe the Institute, let's do the Institute of Creative Arts. We'll do that. That's kind of our main building. And then behind it, what we can do is start playing around with these guys as well. So this will be, I guess, like the old high school is what we can think of this thing as. So it's kind of like the older building on this particular lot, I suppose. I don't necessarily know how it's going to work, but we'll figure it out. We're just improvising. We're playing around. So we'll do a road that goes back there. We'll put the more traditional looking high school right about there, which I think is okay. And I think that's probably good for now. I don't want to get too crazy with this. I do want to get some sports stuff in here as well. So we'll start sort of this way. I don't want the aquatic center. It's way too big. What I do want, though, is to get some sports stuff from one of these guys. I'm pretty sure if it's sports venues right there, this is what I'm looking for. So we have some medium soccer stadiums. I think, do we have any smaller ones? I don't necessarily know that we do. We have medium American football stadiums. We have Timberbox soccer stadiums. Do I have any small ones is the question, because these are pretty large. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to put it right in the middle of all of this. A nice medium soccer stadium. It's a little bit much, but it's kind of a cool spot for it right behind the high school there. So that's totally fine. And then what we can do is grab the other high school building from here and maybe just put it on one of these corners. We could put it back here if we wanted to as well. We could put it in here. I don't really view this as part of the, I guess, campus is what we're calling this. So we'll hold off on that for now. I do want to connect these guys together so the zoning's all right. I think I did see a lot of people, yep, already on their way over there. So maybe we don't use the larger building. It doesn't necessarily fit unless I push the stadium back a little bit, which I could do. That would definitely be an option to push that stadium back. It would have to go back a little bit too far though. So maybe instead we do go for kind of the regular high school. We could do like two of them like this. It kind of looks like a single building. It is going to be very expensive, but again, the idea here is, as much as we possibly can, to have this deal with most of the high school needs of the entire city for the foreseeable future. So we'll clear out all of this extra stuff. We'll leave that as it is for now. And I guess, oh man, that's a lot of traffic. That is a lot of traffic right there. I guess what we'll do is we'll start swapping out these roads for a little something something. And I think what that little something something is going to be is the 2-lane road with the grass median so that traffic can behave nicely around here, hopefully. I also don't necessarily want the bicycle lanes, or do I? You know what? Yeah, why not? Let's have people cycle to school. That seems like a great idea. So we'll give that a shot. We'll see how it goes. We'll do the standard one around here. And we'll just see what happens. We'll just see if people are actually encouraged to use the bike, their bike to get to school. It'd be nice if they did. It definitely would be nice if they did. And I suppose we can also go ahead and bring some pipes in here, bring it around the space, and make sure that everything does in fact have water, which it now should. I think this guy should have a water connection, or not. I guess I need to bring pipes along this road as well, which is totally fine by me. We'll go ahead and get those underneath the roads there. This guy should now have a water connection. Absolutely does. And so let's look at high school stats. So capacity is 3,800. There's 2,500 in the city that are eligible. I don't dislike how this little bit turned out, so I think we'll keep that corner there. And I'm slightly tempted. I am actually slightly tempted to just swap out for the high school, the high capacity high school and elementary school. I think they would fit together. I wasn't really planning on doing an elementary school in this space because it is supposed to be a high school campus, but I think what we can do is maybe something like this. They don't necessarily connect together too well, but something kind of like that, I guess, is sort of what I'm looking for. Just again, so we have that in there. It's yeah, I think that's okay. I don't hate that. We can put some decorations around it. We can make it look the part. We have some other options as well. We could go for the community school if we really wanted to. We could do another one of the Institute of Creative Arts if we wanted to, but I think this is fine. And that gives us 4,200 in high schools, 1,700 on elementary schools. So I don't mind that. We also just hit a milestone. Didn't mean to minimize that. Let's have a little look. We're a grand city. That gives us some hubs, which is pretty cool. We got the baseball park as well, which is also pretty cool. We got the Copper Bowl, which is also pretty cool. So not so bad. Definitely not so bad. I think this is all right. Let's see what else we can put around it in terms of decorations, because we do still have some choices. I don't necessarily want any of these. I don't really want any plazas either. We could start looking at tennis courts and basketball courts, though. Those could fit kind of nicely, potentially, back here, or not. Can they fit back here? They absolutely can. Okay. Well, let's do... Can this go central at all? I don't really know if it can. I don't think it can. Let's do something like that, right behind the soccer stadium. I think those are relatively central behind it as well, which is good. So something like that's all right. We've also got the tennis courts, which are unfortunately about the same size. So I think what we'll have to do is bring a road behind these buildings and use that for the tennis courts. So we'll do a standard 2-lane road, which will give us a little bit of parking in here, which is totally fine. And I think what we'll do is bring it from this side. And I don't know if that's going to fit a tennis court, actually. It does. I was hoping for 2 of them, though. Although it looks like I can totally do 2 of them. So that's actually okay. I don't mind that at all. I don't think there's going to be space for a path going through there, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I guess that's all right. I guess we'll deal with that. Unless I was able to shuffle this guy down, which unfortunately I can't because they're just too big. All right. I think we'll just leave that as is. I think we can detail the rest of this with, you know, paths and stuff like that. We've got some good stuff in here. It's not so bad. Is there anything else I can do parking? I forgot that these were a thing now. Oh, hold on a second. I can do decorative parking lots. Oh, now we're talking. I'm getting a parking lot back there. Absolutely. Can I get parking lots elsewhere? Can they go on hills? Oh, now we're talking. Now we're talking. I mean, we're gonna need parking. It's a pretty high capacity building, right? So, oh man, I'm more excited about this than perhaps I should be, but I'm really excited that there's parking I can do here. I don't love how this looks. I'd like it to be right down on the road, but you know what? Let's actually get rid of parking right in front of the structure and right in front of the main structure, and we'll just do a bunch of parking on this side, I think is what we'll do. It does fit in there pretty well. We can actually shuffle all of this down, and I can do some taxi stands at either end of the parking lots. And then what we can do is actually have taxis come through here as well, which I don't think we have. I don't think I built... No, I didn't build a taxi depot. So let's do a taxi depot, I don't know, somewhere over here, I suppose. Just anywhere over here, really. We'll go ahead and put it, I guess, on that corner. Should be just fine. That gives us the taxi stand, which I can place there and there. And if I remember right, taxis actually work now. I think for the longest time they were completely broken, but they do work now. This looks ridiculous. This looks really bad. All right, hold on a second. Let me tidy up that corner a little bit, because that is not okay. That is very much not okay. Can I get a nice little slope going here? I think I totally can. That looks a bit smoother. I don't love the idea of parking lots on a slope like this, but I think it'll be all right. It'll hopefully be all right. Let's do, let's bring this guy down and bring him over. Let's go ahead and get my parking lots back there. Let me get my taxi stands right there, and that looks so much better. That really does. That looks so much better. I don't even know if these parking lots are used in base game City Skylines. I'll be completely honest. I really have no idea. I'm hoping that they are, but so far no one's parking in them. So I've got a sinking and sneaking suspicion that they are in fact not usable, which is really unfortunate, but I suppose I might be asking too much. Oh, they totally do get used. That's fantastic. All right. That's what I was looking for. And this is also kind of a cool thing. These trees on the side of the stadium, I was able to continue them down here so it doesn't look like they're a part of the stadium, and that makes me really happy because it just continues that bit of landscaping through here. So this place is starting to turn out exactly how I'd want it to. I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and just get a couple more trees in here, a little bit more detailing, nothing too crazy, but just like a nice large couple of oak trees right there. Maybe some bushes sort of in this corner, so we can get some color into the space. Maybe a nice young linden right in the corner as well. And I think we'll do one of these guys. In fact, do I want to continue those right down here? I don't think I do, actually. I don't think I want to go completely symmetrical with my landscaping. It doesn't make too much sense for the trees to be pretty much identical. We'll fill this space in as well with some bushes. We'll fill in some of these spaces as well, just alongside this path, so it's a little bit more, I don't know, established on the land or whatever we want to call it. We'll get some trees and bushes going around some of these parking lots, just so they look a little bit more, you know, settled in the land as well. And maybe a nice little young linden there. and there as well. And that looks okay. I think that's a nice bit of detailing. This space at the back, I'm not really too sure what to do with it. We could maybe look for some unique building or something to go back there. We could do the gherkin if we really wanted to. If we had the space for it, we could do the gherkin. I'm not really wanting to do it, but we could. It's definitely an option. There are some plazas we can play around with. There are probably some other unique buildings as well. But honestly, I'm not too concerned. In terms of small buildings, we have an entertainment agency, we have an art museum, we have a luxury hotel, and another luxury hotel. I don't really think we want either of those either. We could do Thumbs Up Plaza though, which, I mean, I don't dislike that. It's maybe a little bit weird, but I definitely don't dislike it. Can I bring this path back and maybe put that plaza right on the end of that road? Yeah. I like that more. I do like that. And then I wonder, can I do this on the other side of it? Unfortunately, not with these guys on the right. That's fine. I think this is all right. I think this is a decent little start. Let me just grab some paths here. We'll bring this path back over. I need to turn all of my guidelines back onto angle, length, grid. We'll bring it to there for now. And then what we'll do is go ahead and do a little path going back here. Connect those guys together. And that seems fine. That's a nice little way to use that space. That gives us some green space here, some green space here. And I think that's going to be good. So what we'll do is a nice big oak tree. I'm going to say there. We'll do a couple of these guys. Actually, maybe we won't. I like those guys surrounding the stadium. I don't want them everywhere else. I think what I want is some of the standard City Skylines trees. So the oak trees, these guys right here, or one of them, these ones, because that's what's on these parks. And we'll just sort of bring those down so it kind of connects together into the parks a little bit. And I think that's good. I think that's a good way to do things. Same with these guys. I'm going to just dot one right there. So it sort of feathers out a little bit. It blends things together a little bit more. And I guess what we can do, since I haven't used any of these guys in a long time, let's use a couple of these guys for a bit of color right there. And we'll get some of the more recent bushes in there just to sort of, you know, give a little bit of life to the space. And then I think the last thing I want to do is hide some crimes. I really don't like how this has turned out right here. So we're going to go ahead and just cover this up a little bit. I think we'll try and use some rocks to do it, just to give a little bit of, I don't know, depth to the space. Just trying to hide our crimes. Now, I've told this story a few times before. People sometimes ask where the phrase hide your crimes comes from. And growing up, I was a big fan of a show called Mythbusters. I'm sure so many of you were as well. Adam Savage, one of the Mythbusters, has a YouTube channel called Tested, and he has told this story. That's where I get it from, is watching Mythbusters and watching Tested. Adam Savage uses this phrase, hide your crimes, when making things. And what the concept of hiding your crimes is essentially you hide the seams, you hide the areas where things connect together or where things aren't exactly perfect, with a little bit of detailing, with a bit of weathering or whatever it might be. So that's essentially what I'm doing here is I'm putting some detailing in here. I'm putting some rocks, I'm putting some bushes to hide the fact that the curb is a little bit askew in a few places. So that's where that concept comes from. It's not something I come up with. It's something I'm pretty sure he used that phrase on Mythbusters when it was on Discovery, and I know for a fact he's used it on YouTube as well. But that's where the concept comes from. And honestly, it works pretty well. Like just a little bit of detailing in here just to hide some of the nastier looking textures on the ground and some of the weird bits going on with the roads. It just makes it look a little bit more lively, I guess, is what we'll say. It looks a bit more lively. It looks a bit more interesting. It's just a bit less flat, which it otherwise would be. So I love doing this kind of thing. And like I said, this series, it is very much vanilla City Skylines. I'm not about to sit here and do this much detailing and whatever in every single episode of this series. I just kind of felt like getting this done today. And I think honestly, this little bit down here could use just a little bit of attention to hide some of those textures. as well. These textures aren't bad, by the way. I'm leaving some of them visible because it just adds a little bit of depth, a little bit of detail in itself. The sort of darker, muddy colors just kind of nicely bring things together. It happens, you know? If we assume that this campus has been recently built, there would be mud everywhere. So we're going to leave some of these textures visible, just not too many of them. And where they are visible, I'm still going to put some trees on it just to kind of blend it together. But I think that right about there, minus maybe this guy, which needs just a little bit of life, I think that's pretty good. I like that. I think that is solid. Now this grass in between the campus and the avenue, I'm very tempted to put a fence along here. I'm not too sure what kind of fence. There is the suburban fence. Is that new? I want to say that's new. I don't know what the suburban fence looks like. Ooh. I don't actually dislike that. I really like the brick base on it. So I'm actually going to play around with that and see what we can do. So let's just have a little look. I don't know necessarily where it needs to go from, but I want to see what it looks like. It might look a little too prison-ish is my concern, but I do still like the idea of having that divide. I think that's kind of a good idea. So we'll give it a shot. We'll bring it down to about there. And honestly, I do really like the brick along the base of that. I don't love that it does look a little prison-y, but I like the brick along the base. So we'll go for that. So let's see. Can I get this to curve that corner nicely? That's going to be the real challenge. So the curve starts a little further back. I think what we'll do, honestly, is we'll not worry about getting it exact. We'll just get it as best we possibly can, which I think is there. And I think what we'll do is, once again, just hide some crimes. I think that's the goal here. So we'll do a nice big tree right about there. Maybe that's why the curve is a little bit set back from the fence or from the road. Because that does happen sometimes. You have this, you know, huge tree. It's been there for 100 years. And they're like, you know what? We're not going to chop it down. So there we go. That gives us a nice little divide. I'm not really too concerned about the grass here. I'm not going to get rid of that. Traffic is actually flowing here pretty good, which is amazing news. The only change I want to make is I do want to get rid of these traffic lights, and I'm going to set a stop sign there. So traffic coming out does have to stop. Traffic going across, it just keeps going, which I think is for the best. So that'll stop anything from backing up. And what we can do, one last little thing, is we can bring some buses through here. Now the buses are going to stop at Amity Park first, and then they're going to come in here. So we'll have the bus stop right about there, and we'll also have it stop right up there as well. So it kind of loops around, it does its thing, and it goes back to its business. In fact, let's have this same bus stop there as well. So it goes down and around through the university, out to this neighborhood, and stops down there as well. I think that'll be good. My game's lagging for some reason as well. I don't really know why. But I like this. I love how this has turned out. So let's turn our attention very quickly over to the old high school, which is gone now. We don't need it anymore. And now I have a decision to make. Now I need to decide what exactly is going into Elizabeth Gardens. What is going to be our city hall? And like I said, we have some choices. We do have an actual city hall, but it's not the biggest building. We have the government building, which is... it looks like this, government offices. It's not bad. City Hall has a smaller visitor capacity as well. City Hall does have a statue in front of it though. And then Amsterdam Palace, I think it's about the same size as City Hall. I think, honestly, I might go for Amsterdam Palace. Just to be a bit different, because I used City Hall as City Hall in Nerdholm, so... we'll use Amsterdam Palace here, and I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. I actually really like kind of the warmer color on the building as well, with all the trees in front of it. So I think that's lovely. And then behind it, do I have space to do anything with this park? Can I get a plaza in here? Can I get something interesting in these corners? I absolutely can. This is perfect. So we'll go ahead and put this guy here. We'll go ahead and do another one just here. And can I get one in the middle? Absolutely. I absolutely can. I'm going to do 3 of them just to give us a nice sort of big plaza at the back of City Hall. I think that looks kind of cool. I don't dislike it. I really don't. It's a little bit modern perhaps, but it's fine. And then I suppose we have the choice of doing some fences here as well. We can maybe just extend this guy over a little bit. So you're going to go to about as far in front of City Hall as I can get you, which is there. And you are going to do exactly the same thing to about there. And I like that. I do. I think I want to get some trees in those corners just to sort of, you know, accent the space. I don't know. I want trees in the corners. I'm not going to come up with excuses. I think that's fine. So City Hall is there. I think that looks great. We've got our high school campus down here, which I think looks great. Do we have people actually waiting for the bus? We absolutely do. Not as many as I was hoping for, but we absolutely do. And I realize I've done such a... I've done such like an ignorant bureaucratic decision because I have my buses pulling into bicycle lanes to pick people up. Oh no. Oh, I don't know that I love that. I don't know that I love that. Are the bicycle lanes even popular? They kind of are actually. All right, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's fill up this space with some zoning. So is this even a district right now? It isn't. Let's fill up this space with some zoning. And let's encourage cycling in that space. I think that'll be lovely. And I think what we can also do is we'll use the 2-lane road with grass median. I'm going to come off of here. I want my guidelines again. So I want my grid guidelines, road length guidelines. I want to go 10 units and I want to try and connect these guys together. So I might have to flatten some terrain. We're going to push this cliff back a little bit, but I'm honestly not too concerned about that. So grab this height right here. And just push this guy out a little bit. It's not going to look amazing. In fact, that slope is probably going to give us some trouble. But I want to see if I can do this. I do kind of want the roads to slope down the hill a little bit. So we'll see what we can do. If I can get like a, you know, take that guy out, slope from here to there, and just very gradually do this. Does that just flatten the entire thing? Not really. It's not perfectly flat, which I'm okay with. And we'll do sort of the same thing here. We'll kind of smooth that out a bit, hit it with a smoothing brush, and I guess that's about as good as it's going to be. So what we'll do, bring this guy out to there, bring this guy over to there, and that seems all right. That gives us a nice little clifftop road, which is very dangerous, but it gives us some space for more zoning, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So let me go and get some, I think, regular roads, and I'm just going to bring these guys... I think I'm just going to bring them straight over. I think what we'll probably end up doing is getting rid of the zoning in and around the high school. And instead, we'll just have these roads go straight up towards the high school roads. And that's how we'll fill up this space. So we're kind of keeping the grid that we have in the main chunk of the city. But I think that's all right. I think this will kind of work. And then this can maybe have some park space in it. I think this road can have some zoning on it. This one will not. And I think that's all right. So we'll turn off zoning on this guy. We can keep zoning on this one. Maybe some commercial zoning in there would be interesting. If I get rid of zoning on you, I don't think it screws up these guys. I think they're all right. And, ooh, I'm getting rid of my bike lanes though. Hold on. Do I want my bicycle lanes? I kind of do. And I kind of like the idea of doing some trees on that road. Or do I? Do I like that? No, I don't. It's too busy. With all the trees on the parks and the trees in the area, I think it's a little bit too busy. So we'll not do that. And I think that's fine. I think that's a good little setup. It gives us space for some zoning in here. So let's go ahead and paint a district into all of this, including the high school. It's going to be part of the district as well. And now I just have to decide what this is going to be in terms of its style. I think it's going to have to be high density because we do have these guys. And I'm leaning towards wall to wall just because it will match these more modern looking buildings here. So let's give that a shot. Let me zone this with commercial. Let me zone this with commercial. And then the rest of this is going to be residential. I don't want residential there though, and I don't want it there either. These guys can be residential as well. And that does give me some space for some parks, some paths, and some interesting things in here. I'm going to take this one out as well, and we'll see what we can do with all of that. I do also want to make sure there's no zoning on this road. So zoning is disabled. Let me just update you guys. This does ever slightly mess with this space. Maybe some taxi stands in there would be the way to go, but I think that's okay. We can do some trees in there. We can detail that space as well. That's just going to make sure nothing is actually building on the high school itself. And actually, what I might do is I might get rid of that one line of zoning right here. And I might bring some fences around that as well. So it's all technically part of the same space, but it's also kind of, it's having a clear dividing line between the high school and the place where people live. So what we would do is something like this up to about, I want to say that spot. This is hopefully not going to intersect. It is going to intersect. That's fine. Can I turn off angles and have it go straight across? I absolutely can. So we'll have it go to there. And I don't think we need it to go down towards the road. I think we just want to sort of continue straight across like this. And I'm not really too worried about going around the roads either, because I'm probably going to have paths that connect all this together. But I just think at the backs of the buildings, having a little bit of this going on, just so we have that clear dividing line between what is high school and what isn't. It's just going to make it look interesting. So this can go to here. This can go... Well, am I going a bit too crazy with this now? I might be getting a little bit too crazy with this. Maybe I should just follow this road. I think, yeah, we're just going to follow the road. I'll put gaps in the fence and we'll do it that way. I think that's going to be so much better. So let's say here, for example, can I bring that straight over? I absolutely can. And that's so much simpler. That is so much simpler. That is exactly how we're going to do that. So that's perfect. That gives us a nice fence that surrounds the high school. We don't have it over here because we don't necessarily need it because nothing's getting built out there right now. This is fine. All right, so let's go to the district and let's say it is wall-to-wall residential. Let's say it is wall-to-wall commercial, and that should be all right. They're going to need pipes, of course, because they don't have any right now. So bring this guy straight across, and we'll bring this guy sort of straight down. I'll turn on all of my guidelines again because I do sort of need them. And so that gives us pipes around the edge. This guy goes down to here, and so the whole thing's covered. Not bad. Not bad at all. Let's, oh, game's lagging again. Let's go ahead and let this build. Let's see what it's going to look like. We'll have the commercial demand go away. We probably won't see too much residential pop up because we don't really have demand for it right now. But I think this will be good. I really do. I think this is going to look, it's going to look pretty cool. Although I will say, while this is all building, I'm going to make a change to this road. I'm going to downgrade this to have 4 lanes instead of 6. And the reason I'm doing that is because what that should do, and it does do, is it turns this rightmost lane into a dedicated turning lane, which means that any traffic coming along here that just wants to go straight along is going to use a different lane. We are seeing some tailbacks here, which is not ideal. So this will hopefully help with that. And I'm also realizing Evergreen District is going to need to have an Old Town policy because I don't want people going through Evergreen to get towards Umber Hills or anything like that. So that's not too bad. That'll hopefully help with the traffic problems. And I think while we're waiting on all of that to be done, let me go ahead and get some trees in here. Again, nothing too crazy, but just a little bit of life alongside some of these buildings in some of these spaces that are going to be just left open. And then for paths and things like that, we have got some choices. Now, I don't know that I want to cut straight through here. So what I'm going to do instead is this. And I'm going to do something like, let's say something like this. And then this guy can go at a bit of an angle down to, let's see, turn off road length, turn off grid snapping. Can I freeform this? I don't know that it's necessarily going to let me. If I zoom right in, can I get it anywhere? I'm moving my mouse so slowly. I don't think I can. What if I used a different type of road? I can do that. And then can I upgrade you? Yeah, there we go. That is exactly what I'm looking for right there. So just a bit of a path coming through, something a little bit interesting, a little bit different. Let's get rid of you because we don't need it. And that'll just let people walk around. And that's what I'm looking for. And then once this is all built, we can see where we need to place trees and details to make it look a bit more lively. But I love this. I also love that this is getting used. That's pretty cool. Oh, I get to customize it as well. All right, let me go. What's the color of the channel right now? Isn't the background of my channel icon like a sort of orangey red color? So we'll do sort of an orangey red, I guess. And do I get to, so it's Vanillaville versus Santa Cruz. Not bad. I didn't know this was actually one of the functional stadiums. That's really, really cool. That's also going to be the source of a lot of the traffic that was coming in here. So not bad at all. I'm actually I'm so pleased with how this space looks. It's really cool. Oh, I've just remembered that this exists. There's an asymmetrical 5-lane road in the game, and this is technically 2 sections of road right here. So if I do this, that gives me 3 lanes going that way, which, I mean, that's a bit of a problem. And if I do that, I want to see how that functions. That seems like it's doing what I'd want it to do. Do I want to downgrade this guy as well? So give you 3 there and 3 there? That doesn't seem like a bad idea. That gives me a dedicated turning lane for the left and the right there. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I just got rid of zoning on that road though, which was a bit of a mix up, but that's totally fine. We'll go ahead and get that replaced. I really like that. I do. That seems so much better. It gives us a dedicated turning space. That is absolutely perfect. Not bad. Like I said, I know I've just said, I'm so pleased with how this has turned out. I wish it would build a little bit quicker. Oh no, this is a problem. We've got people getting sick because of noise pollution because they're right next to a busy stadium. That actually makes a lot of sense, and we might want to do something about that. Now, we have a high capacity hospital and we're making a lot of money, so I'm slightly tempted to build one of these guys, but I almost feel like a high capacity hospital, much like we've done before, should probably have its own decent footprint. In fact, all of the large hospitals probably should, but I think what we'll have to do is go ahead and build one of the regular hospitals just for now, and we'll build it maybe here, just sort of filling up that space a little bit with a regular hospital. And I think what we'll also do is clear out this space beside it, and we can do some kind of park in there. We can do something interesting. We can do something or other to make it look kind of nice. Also, I did see a comment about airports apparently having like a thing so you can put down a bunch of I don't remember exactly what it was, but apparently there's a way to put down like a, what do you call it? like to pave places. There's a way to do that. Yeah, airport aprons are what I'm looking for, but we need an airport area and need to build a terminal to do this. Apparently these things, it's just a decorative concrete apron for an airport. It's a way to pave a whole bunch of space and have it look cool, which admittedly, I think that's pretty cool. I like the sound a lot, but we're not going to be building an airport anytime soon. That's a thing for future me to worry about, I think. So for now, we'll just do some trees in this space, get a little bit of color in there to make it look kind of nice, and that'll be a good little bit of detailing for that. There we go. So that hospital is hopefully going to deal with all the people getting sick in these spaces. And I'm also thinking that Umber Hills, just before we move towards wrapping things up for today, given that it's sort of the last low density district that we have right now, I think we need to clear it out. So I'm going to clear out all of that zoning right there. And I think what we'll do is we'll keep this bit, but we'll get rid of all that since we don't need it. And I think what we'll do is say that Umber Hills is, I really like the self-sufficient housing. I've got to be honest. I do really like the self-sufficient towers. They're just interesting looking. They have a really lovely amount of just detail on them. But let's take a look and see if there's something else we could play with here. So European, meh. I'm not too worried about that. I don't think there's anything really. I don't know what most of these are. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this district up a little bit. I'm going to clear out all of this, and I'm going to clear out all of this. And I'm going to replace some of this with offices, because I think that's probably a decent enough idea. I'm going to replace all of this with offices, and I'm going to do the same over here as well, because we do have demand for industry, and I'm assuming that's probably more along the lines of office zoning anyway, because we've managed to deal with education. So we'll do some commercial there, and then everything in the middle is going to be residential. I just don't know what styles to go for, because I really like these guys. I think they look so cool, but it is very gray. So I don't know. Wall to wall might be the way to go again. I really don't know. I think what we'll do is for the commercial, we'll say modern city center. We'll stick with that kind of theme because I love how it looks along these avenues. For the residential and the offices, I just don't know. That's kind of my problem. We could do an IT cluster. I don't think this is where an IT cluster should go. It's not a very high-tech district. I don't know about wall-to-wall. Let's just do financial. Let's do financial and see what it looks like. And then for residential, I think we do self-sufficient again. It might be a little bit boring, but we're going to try the self-sufficient. We're also going to clear this out and replace it with commercial. And we're going to do the same thing here because I want these buildings going around those corners. And so what we should see happen, and actually if I cleared you out, I can do a little path in there, which might look interesting or it might look stupid. We'll find out once it's built. But what I can do is just do, let's see, grid snapping, please. So from there to there. Yeah, so this might look good. This might look terrible. Either way, it's an upgrade to high density, which we needed for this space. It is hopefully going to boost residential demand because we just got rid of a bunch of residential. And so we might see this get built. I don't know. This might look terrible. This might look interesting. It's a mixed district. It might be good. I don't know. I just need to do it. I needed to upgrade it. We had demand for things. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to encourage biking in Evergreen District. And now that that's done, hopefully we're going to see a lot more people using those bicycle lanes. And I'm also thinking I should probably get some actual cycle paths in here. Although we do have people cycling on the sidewalks here, so that's, or the footpaths here, so that's not too bad. The good news is, I mean, if we have people cycling around here, it's going to be good. It's going to look neat. It's going to be really, really cool. We'll have people cycling to school, which is, I mean, that's maybe a cliche, but it's going to be good. I'm really pleased with how this has turned out. And so I think what we're going to do, because I keep talking about how pleased I am right now, I think what we're going to do is leave it there for today. In the next episode, I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% sure what to do, but I do want to start looking towards more industry because I was reading a bunch of comments that were talking about industries such as oil and ore eventually running out. Now, City Skylines has an option in the mods section by default. It came in the vanilla version of the game. It's not something from the Steam Workshop. You can access it even if you have no workshop enabled, which is how I've turned everything off. And it is an option for unlimited oil and ore. I want your opinion on that. And this was something that I did see discussed and brought up a little bit, but I want your opinion on that. Do we want to enable unlimited oil and ore so that we can start moving into producing more things, such as if we go in here and go to factories, I don't remember exactly what it was, printing press, for example. If we get the printing press, it needs plastic, which is going to need oil. There's a lot of things we can make. We just need to branch out our industry into other things. So give me your opinion on that. Let me know whether you want to see unlimited oil and ore being a thing, or whether or not I'm going to have to deal with importing those things eventually, which we can do. I've also seen people talking about the need for warehouses in the city as well. 100%. I'm going to get around to that as well. I just wanted to take a little bit of a break from industry to focus a little bit on getting this guy to look the way it does. And I'm so pleased. Like I said, I'm pleased with it. I'm glad this is something you can do in Vanilla City Skylines. That's one of my favorite things about this type of series, is just being able to detail something and make it look pretty good without a single mod. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. Let me know in the comments below what you think about turning on unlimited oil and ore. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.